Hey everybody, this is Walt Swaim. Welcome to Truth Unbound. And I'm excited because it's the 1 year anniversary. Now, not of the podcast, we're not there yet, but something finally happened a year ago, and I'm real excited. And you're going, what is it? What happened a year ago, and why are you mentioning it now? Well, hold on. I'm going to tell you. All right, thanks again for joining me here, Walter Swaim on Truth Unbound. And in our podcast, what we do on a weekly basis is we understand or we bring up what the issues are that are current to the day and the week and the month. And we relate God's truth to those things. We defend God's truth in it as well. Because there are things that happen, you go, what does God say to this? It's not directly addressed. So what does God say? What is his truth with this issue that's just come up in my life or in the culture, in my church, or in theology and the things that I'm reading and seeing and listening to? Well, that's what we do at Truth Unbound. And I would ask if you would like this video and then also hit subscribe. If you would click on subscribe and all notifications if you're watching this on YouTube, and then if you're listening to us only, that you would follow us and then share this with everyone you can so that others can join you and me in understanding and defending and relating God's truth to the issues of today. Okay, so I told you what's the deal, okay? What's the big deal about this being a 1 year anniversary? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because my first book, my only book so far, came out last year at this time. It's called To Be Clear, Proclaiming the Gospel in a Post-Truth World. Now, this was an idea that percolated in my mind for years. I felt and saw a shift in the thinking of our culture, and I could see a common link, but I couldn't put my finger on it, that this common link or thread of a mindset across so much of our society, especially in this massive swing to the far left idealism and the tenacious grip it has on science, especially things like global warming, and then critical race theory and intersectionality at all levels of the educational system, the blatant leftist mouthpiece that the news media and so much on social media has become, and the same in government and in politics. Then I saw a pattern like this also creeping into and now even being promoted by many leaders in the evangelical church, shifting away from basic Bible doctrines and even changing the meaning and the work of the gospel message of Jesus Christ. Well, I read of other believers who were picking up on this as well and putting all the pieces together. And as I was working on my doctorate, it came out to me. It popped up finally. This common thread of motivation across so much of our culture. And it has a name. It's called post-truth. You see, for so many years in the past, our society was held together and even restrained by a standard of truth based on Judeo-Christian principles. In other words, it basically came by principle from the Bible. But that is gone now, long gone. Our world now operates not according to objective standards of data and evidence and of morality that God has given to us, but rather everything is based on what each person or a majority of people at the moment feel and think is right and wrong. It's based on what they say, not on something outside of ourselves that we need to adhere to and honor. And the result of this is confusion and chaos. And people like it that way now. And they elevate that confusion and chaos as noble and good and to be admired and modeled after. Whether it's gender, sexuality, history, COVID, climate change, abortion, the news media, the social media, now the cancel culture, and everything else is guided by this post-truth confusion. In other words, post-truth says truth is what you make it to be and feel it should be from your own experience and viewpoint, not from any God or any historic values that are based on the Bible, directly or indirectly. Post-truth is also not new. It just changes its look every generation or so to make it acceptable, more palatable to everyone. The real alarm bells go off, though, very loudly as we see post-truth thinking and how it has entrenched itself in the church and its leadership and even its disciple making compromises on the changeless truths and doctrines of the Word of God, and trying to change the meaning of the gospel and even how it works and what it accomplishes it. And it's even affecting the training in our seminaries and churches of future leaders of the church. The truth is being exchanged for a lie. And many Christians are just fine with it, and they can't get enough of it. And that's a problem. But you are bothered by it. I remember when COVID broke out last year, and then the death of George Floyd triggered just what we saw on the TV screens every day of all the rioting and the anger and the destruction. And all of that accelerated post-truth thinking and actions probably by a decade or more. So in a shameless plug for my book, and only 1 year out since its publishing, I'm encouraging you, yes, to buy the book and read it for yourself. You know, when Pilate confronted Jesus just before condemning him to the crucifixion, he quipped to Jesus, "What is truth?" Well, in the book, To Be Clear, Proclaiming the Gospel in a Post-Truth World, you'll read how post-truth thinking came to be, what it is, how to identify it inside the different issues and things across our society that we engage in daily. And then you'll also see how it has permeated the church and how you as a follower of Jesus can resist it and even prevent it from happening in your life and maybe even in your church. Now, some have even bought the book in bulk and used it as a guide for a Bible study on Christ in the culture or the Christian in culture, those kind of things. Well, regardless, I just want to encourage you. I'll give the information is right here. You can go to tobeclearbook.com, and there it's going to be at the special price of $10. And I'll be signing that book and mailing it to you. So it'll be $10 plus shipping. And you can order it through the website, again, of tobeclearbook.com. You can also buy it for the regular price of $16.99, the print edition, that is, on Amazon. The Kindle edition is now at a special price of $5.99. Either way, I can't thank you enough. To all those who listen to the podcast and have already bought the book, to those who will, I'm humbled by it. I'm serious that you would even purchase it so you can be filled in on the knowledge of this and be prepared as a believer and better equipped as a follower of Jesus. And if you would indulge me for a moment, my heart was warmed and I was encouraged greatly from one reader of the book who sent me an email. And she said this, and I want to share it with you so you can understand the impact it can have. She says, "I've been attending a class given by our pastor, which is a review of your excellent book, To Be Clear. Your book is very important to me, as I have 7 grandchildren, 2 of whom are teens and becoming indoctrinated by our public school system. I need an effective way to talk to our youngest generation, and your book is giving me that. Thank you." That's all I would hope for, is that it could be a help to other believers that in their own context in their life can see what's happening and then know what to do about it, and then help affect and impact other younger generations as well for Christ when it comes to this idea of post-truth and defending against it with the truth of God. Through the writing, through speaking, and through this podcast, we'll continue to defend and relate God's truth to the times in which we live. So just remember, in the end, always follow Jesus. And when you do so, you'll always follow the truth. We'll see you next week.